Southern California, yeah.
Born and raised our DNA. Laugh and cry to what we say. We hit you with that wordplay.
4053.
What episode are we on? D, they feeling like baby zombies, all dressed in Abercrombie.
SoCal DNA coming in live. 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night. COVID got you sitting inside. Why not sip one and free your mind?
Cheap thrills, popping pills, stack cash, spend it fast.
Listen to all of Don's lies as Arjun act like he's surprised.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been quite some time since we blessed you with some great content. As far as I can remember, I think the last time was probably January 1st around New Year's. A lot has changed, a lot has happened since then. And one new thing that we're going to do on this podcast is review something that Don and I both appreciate.
Yeah.
One more so than the other. Don, why don't you go ahead and explain what we're about to do in this first segment?
So if you don't know, the A is a very, very, very fun man on the weekends and evenings. And if you get him at the right time, the gambler in him comes out. The red comes out. You know, red chips, always 100 on red. 100 on red all the time. I don't know why red.
Sometimes on black.
Oh, dive into that. Doubtful. Never green though, for some reason, and hardly ever blue.
That's right. That's right.
But I was able to, or rather, we were able to get together this past weekend slightly and kind of have a plan for once on a nice, I would say it's not really a parlay, but a nice bet across two sporting events. And, I went ahead and made my picks. Arjun went ahead and got out his yardsticks. And we decided, you know what? Instead of handing over some typical Skrilla, using little finger quotes here, Skrilla, we decided to bet something a little better, something a little more entertaining for you guys. And definitely more entertaining for me because, taking his money, it gets boring from time to time. So this time we were able to treat ourselves via the A to something that I adore. A nice bottle of bourbon. And from my experience, this is a great bottle. From what you've told me, you don't really dabble too much in the space of bourbon. It's been a hipster thing for the past couple of years, but I think it's slowly dying down back to the regulars. And from what I recall, you told me it was kind of hard to find at your Target, so that kind of shows how popular it is.
I guess you could say that. Don is absolutely right. I went to a local Target in Mission Viejo, and I went straight to the liquor section, of course, naturally.
As you should.
As I should. And, I was staring at it. I was staring at the aisle with all the liquor in there, all the whiskey, all the rums, all the bourbons, but I could not find a trace of Buffalo. Not a single trace. And I understood I probably looked like a fool in there because I was like looking closer. I was taking steps back, taking pictures and sending them to Don. And people were probably thinking, is this guy going to actually buy liquor or is he just like taking pictures of liquor? What is he doing? So then, after conferring with the expert, with the D, I realized, you know what? This Target just doesn't have it. Maybe they're sold out. Maybe they never have it in stock. Who knows? So he gave me the good advice. Go to a supermarket. I went straight to the Vons in Santana. And there you have it. That's right. And we got there at the Vons, they had like 4 bottles. I showed Don the picture. There was a sign there that said, if you buy 6, it's like $22 a pop, which is a pretty good deal. It's not that bad.
Should have done it.
Should have done it. But they only had 4. So alas, I came away with just 1. But yeah, Don is absolutely right. I always enjoyed whiskey. I always enjoyed bourbon whenever I had it. But it's been very rare and far between opportunities, to be honest. Buffalo Trace is one that I've never consumed, but I was saving this story for the podcast. I didn't tell you this before, but I think a couple of months ago, I was looking for a new body soap. And you guys got like different varieties, right? There's Old Spice, there's like Axe, there's everything, right?
Sure.
Dove, I like Dove as well. Nourishes the skin, which is always good.
Yeah, moisturizer.
That's right. You gotta have some. Gotta be supple. Gotta be really supple. So, I thought, you know what? I always get the boring old Dove or the Costco 6-pack of whatever the hell they're selling. Why not try something a little bit more explorative? Why not try something a little bit more risky? And I saw something, you might have heard of this before. It was like a Buffalo Trace smelling shampoo. Or not shampoo, a body soap. So it's like a bottle of this, like, it's called Super Thick or something like this. It's like super thick, and the flavoring or the scent is Buffalo Trace. And I was like, that's really odd. Like, who wants to actually smell like a drunkard, right? Who wants to smell like a bum or smell like somebody who consumes so much Buffalo Trace? And I realized the answer to that question was me. So I bought a bottle. I bought a bottle. It was a small one, but it was fucking expensive. It was like fucking $6-7 for some soap, right?
Oh, look at you, man.
Big
Shit.
baller. Big baller for the things that don't matter. That's the problem. So I got that, and the next day I was excited. I was like, all right, new soap. It's going to be rejuvenating, going to be reinvigorating. I try it, and it is strong, my friend. Oh my gosh. They found a way to infuse so much of that Kentucky bourbon in there. It doesn't leave your skin, my friend. You rub it on, you make the lather and the foam and everything, and throughout the day you will definitely sniff yourself a few times thinking, damn, I stink like bourbon. So as soon
So
as
it's got to be almost like a cologne at the same time. It sounds like.
Exactly. It's strong enough. It's strong enough to be determined a cologne, and that's why as I pop the top of this guy, let me put it next to the mic so you guys can hear. You heard that? Oh, let me try it again. That was kind of nice. There we go. So as I open it, that smell brings me back to my showers. It definitely does. Okay, so I think we might as well start off with a equivalent of a shot, I suppose. I'm gonna grab my Dixie cup over here. Unfortunately, I am out of the red.
A dram. It's a dram.
It's a dram.
You do a little dram. It's a nice little neat pour. Not a shot. You wanna enjoy it. You want to enjoy it. So go ahead and pour yourself one. I'll lead you through it. How to enjoy it.
But how much is a dram relative to a shot? Like, I'm looking. Okay,
well,
so
let's say a shot.
Let's say like
2 ounces.
I'm looking at the neck of the bottle, right? And right now it's full. Mm-hmm. So would it go down to like where the neck ends and it starts becoming the body of the bottle? Is that?
That's what I would do.
Okay. Let's start with that.
Right.
Oh,
and are you using a bigger Dixie cup or using one of those little like ones they use at the dentist where it's almost like a shot cup size?
No. Unfortunately, I do not have the little Dixie cups for the kids' dentistries. This is basically like a Dixie coffee cup, to be honest with you.
Got it. Okay.
So it's all right. Sorry, we'll make it work.
Got it. So is it poured in there? And it's not paper, right? Like it doesn't have an expiration.
Right, well, it is a paper coffee cup.
Okay, well, hopefully it holds.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, this is meant for like hot coffee. So I think. Oh, but you're worried about the alcohol breaking down the paper? Is that your concern? Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? Chemistry was never my subject, so we're gonna find out.
Honors organic chemistry.
There you go.
How I got in there, I have no idea.
Hey, but you survived. That's what matters.
That's all that matters.
You poured yourself one as well.
I did. I've already been enjoying it.
Oh man, you're ahead of the curve. So should I just
go ahead and pour one in?
What's the right approach here? Should I sniff it and give you my thoughts, or should I like take a sip? Yes.
Okay. Yes. You gotta do the nose of it, right?
Here we go.
And then go ahead and sniff it a little bit.
Okay.
Sniff some regular air. Sniff it again.
Let me go back into it now. Okay. So it smells like liquor. First and foremost, it smells like liquor. It is strong for sure. I read something on the back of the bottle. It mentioned something like 90 proof. Is that right? Oh my gosh.
That's correct.
And just to let everybody know, this of course is Buffalo Trace Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 45% alcohol by volume, 90 proof, 750 milliliter bottle. Now, I like the bottle. Let me just first say, like, it's a nice looking design, and I've always had an appreciation, Don, for, liquor bottles in general, whether it's like a fancy looking one or a simple one. I know a lot of detail, a lot of attention goes into crafting the bottle in a certain way, the label as well. One thing I really appreciate about this label, it kind of gives you this Old West, old-timey kind of feel, where they have like a kind of like a custom cut for the label
Mm-hmm.
itself, where you see the picture of the buffalo in this like sepia tone, kind of black and whitish, and it makes you almost feel like a cowboy in the 1901 Wyoming. Like it's like a really mood setter looking at this buffalo looking back at me. So I'm ready. I'm ready to sip one right here, as the cool kids like to say. So here we go. I sniffed it, and to describe the notes
Yeah,
here.
you gotta describe it. Yeah, what are you getting from the
Okay,
smell?
let me sip it first. Let me see. Oh, okay. Well, I will say it's a little tingly down the throat, a little tingly.
Okay.
I do enjoy it though. Like I've had Johnny Walker in the past. I've had, even
Not a fan.
sweet ones like Fireball before.
Not a fan.
There's been a lot of different whiskeys I've had. This one is comparable to those for sure.
Mm.
It's comparable in the sense that like it reminds me of a whiskey in general.
Oh,
You have to
okay.
keep in
Okay.
mind, I'm not an aficionado of whiskey yet. This
Not
is
yet.
day one.
Not yet.
This is the first sip. There's going to be many sips afterwards. So my first sip will be
Yes.
described like a plebeian. I'm basically describing this sip of bourbon as I would any whiskey, I would say. But I think that the word that comes to mind is definitely strong. Now, flavor. Let me get another sip and talk to you about the flavor that I
Yeah.
dispel.
Like swirl it around your tongue. Don't get too much in there. Just enough to kind of coat your tongue. Get in a little bit. Shouldn't really touch your cheeks too much.
Oh, well,
Otherwise, it hurts.
It touched everything. It touched everything to me.
And then what helps is
Yeah.
if you actually kind of open your mouth and inhale while it's in there, you'll get some other notes in there too.
Let me get all the notes. Let me play this concerto. I'm trying to think of like what flavors to describe it as, other than just liquor
Sure.
and alcohol and like bourbon and
Sure.
whiskey.
Yeah, well, I mean, usually when it comes to bourbon, you're
Yeah.
always going to get a little bit of a woody kind of flavor to it, and that comes from the char sometimes. In this case, you get a lot of oak. Oak is in this one. Usually, that there's like a little bit of spiciness to it.
Yes.
Something that's like almost like peppery to most people, and that's usually coming from rye. So I'm sure when you were perusing Target's vast array of alcohol. Typically, what's really big right now is something called high rye, and that comes from like the ingredient listing when it comes to percentages of the base grain that they use. And rye, similar to the rye used in rye bread, tends to have those peppery, spicy notes to it. You get slightly rye notes with this one. But then usually also with bourbon, you're going to get different varying amounts of kind of brown sugar flavors, a little bit of vanilla usually, and almost like caramelly flavors. And that's what Buffalo Trace is really good at, in mellowing all those out without it being too sweet, but it may be sweet for a lot of people.
So in terms of like sweetness, I do get a little bit of it in the aftertaste actually, as I'm like staring at the liquid remaining in my cup and swishing it around in my mouth, just kind of sucking my teeth a little bit, getting all the liquid out of the cavities. Unfortunately, I think it's not bad. I think it kind of grows on you after the second or third sip. It
does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once the heat passes, you get used to the heat, right? Because always the first sip is usually hard if you're not an alcoholic like me.
Yes, that's true.
Once you get past that, and then your mouth becomes accustomed to that kind of warmness that comes with sipping liquor, then you get more tones. And what's even better is, as it sits in the cup, it'll become more effervescent and more flavorful, because the alcohol will start to kind of dissipate a bit more, and then you'll get more other nuanced notes over time.
Like the paper of the Dixie cup.
Of course, you're gonna get it all over that room. Like the janitor's gonna go in there and be like,
¿Qué pasó?
Wait a second.
That's right. Well, I mean, it's I think it's a good smell. It's definitely a smell that you would find.
I mean, you bought soap for it, so come on, and you enjoyed that soap. It's kind of odd though that now you got to equate a drink that you are ingesting to something that you were just rubbing all over your body. Kind of odd, but
It is. It is. I mean, it's not natural at all. And these soaps, by the way, I think there were a couple different brands that I saw that were like these specialty soaps. Duke Cannon was the name of one of them. Actually, as a matter of fact, is that the one that I bought? Let me double check.
Duke Cannons. So, they have their own website. Let's see what that is.
They're legit. They're legit. Let's see, thick
Premium men's grooming goods. Oh my God.
Okay, so it actually is Dick Cannon. This is the thick Buffalo Trace high viscosity body wash. Yeah.
You had to get the high viscosity one.
Oh, it's
Did you buy this online or did you buy this?
No, dude. I just went to the Target down the street. So apparently, the funny thing is, this Target doesn't have the actual Buffalo Trace liquor, but they have the Buffalo Trace flavored body wash, which is kind of a weird twist. That's a weird flex right there. But I tried it out. It was.
That is odd. It's orange, man. That is
Well, kind of like the liquor, right? Like when you look at that in the cup.
I'm looking at it. And what sold you on it? The word thick? I'm assuming the word thick got you.
Well, I was looking for something that was kind of unique. And, I knew that I tried almost every variety of like the Old Spice, which is my usual go-to. I've tried many different Doves and maybe Axes in the past. Axes not so much anymore, but I wanted to try something that was kind of more boutique-y, like kind of like a unique brand, like you never heard of it before. So I looked at that. The thick definitely caught my eye, but then there were a couple different varieties, right? I think there was like this one, which is for the Buffalo Trace, and there was one that was like the Navy, like something about the Navy.
Yep, naval diplomacy. Look that one up to see what that one's like. That's aquatic scent. Blends notes of freshwater, open air, and bergamot.
I love that word, bergamot. It's some kind of like spice or plant or vegetable, or
it's a citrus.
Okay.
I know that because that's the predominant tone in my cologne, Issey Miyake. So,
wow.
It's a very good. It's really big when it comes to like essential oils and stuff like that. Bergamot tends to be sold a lot. So,
I like it.
Naval diplomacy. I might pick some up myself just to see what that's like. Maybe. Dare I say?
Yeah.
Pay some Duke Cannon a visit. It might be a good little thing to do. Buy each other soap. How far have we come?
So we become connoisseurs of both the drink and the soap. I like that. It's a genuine idea. Obviously, as I pour myself out another little, what did you call it? Dram of this whiskey.
Dram.
Yeah.
Show some respect. You got to call it a dram.
Oh, absolutely. Get a little more of this right here.
I got to ask, by the way, how much do you typically drink when you go out?
Yes.
Or rather, you're hanging with the boys, co-workers, what have you.
Sure.
I assume you're not like me. You don't drink at home alone, by the campfire, sobbing. How much do you get? Are you a cocktail guy, a beer guy?
So,
when you're there for a happy hour.
I'll tell you this much. At my old workplace, there was this bar, I think called like Hangar 24 or something like this. Which was on, I think, Main and Von Carmen, I want to say.
Sure.
So in the Irvine area. And from time to time, I would go there with colleagues. And I really enjoyed this one particular beer that they had. It was a stout. We might have talked about this before. It's called Pugachev's Cobra.
I do remember you bringing this up.
That's right.
Yep.
It's very heavy for sure. But it tastes good. Like it was like, dark and, chocolatey a little bit. There were some notes of like, I guess, vanilla in there too. And it just tasted overall like a full-bodied dark stout, like a nice one that I would go often to get. And it was always like off the regular menu, you kind of had to know that they had it. And they would have to like go toward the back or something in their cellar and
just grunting like, bottles. God damn it.
This guy again, right? But yeah, no, I guess that would be my go-to in like a social gathering type of situation, if there's like a
Okay.
stout that's like kind of like on the desserty side, I'd probably
Sure.
go for that. When it comes to, let's say, something more highbrow, let's say, we have to get some liquor, like hard liquor or some mixed drink, right? I would most
Hmm.
likely, believe it or not, I would go for a whiskey, whatever whiskey that I see that I recognize.
Wow.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And it would just be probably on the rocks, right? So I can enjoy
Sure.
it on a slower pace a little bit while conversing. But yeah, that's my go-to. So it depends on the occasion. Either like a nice stout for a beer, or something a little bit more hard, like a liquor. But quite frankly, I would never go for. I mean, even after today, I don't think I would go for a Buffalo Trace by choice. Let's put it that way. Not that I'm not enjoying it. It's just I think with the plethora of whiskeys and bourbons
Sure.
out there, I would rather mix it up a little bit. I think there's many different ones that seemed interesting to me. But as
As
a
you,
f- as a,
you
as a
should.
f- yeah, as a first one though to try out on this hopefully reoccurring segment, I think Buffalo Trace is a nice one. It's very solid, and I will say, looking back at my younger years when I used to drink a little bit more often, I would say Maker's Mark was not bad. I like Maker's Mark.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No. Makers is delicious. They've actually expanded their lines a lot.
Hmm.
Um, when we get the chance, maybe the next one we'll try out is Maker's 46,
Ooh.
which has been solid. It's affordable, a little sweeter for my taste, but
Mm.
makes a fantastic base for a lot of the bourbon cocktails out there.
Mm.
So I'll go ahead and add that, pencil that in for the next bottle you're gonna have to buy me.
Oh no, for sure, for sure. And this is a nice kind of change of pace, as you said, because in the past I would just lose boatloads of money to Dom, like $20 here, $30 here. End of the year, I'm down 2 grand, right? It's usually how this shit goes. But now it's something that, yes, I still have to pay him, but it's in a way that we can both enjoy. We can talk about it. He can get my opinion, my rather novice opinion on these
No,
fine bourbons from Kentucky.
we all got to start somewhere. We all
There
got
we
to
go.
start somewhere,
There we go.
and at least you were able to, how do I say, teach your palate something different, a little bit different on this nice Friday evening that we're having.
I would say
So I
so.
think this is a nice gold standard
Mm-hmm.
to hold every other bourbon to moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And at least now you have a little bit in your now one card Rolodex, or
Mm.
rather two cards. You probably drink a lot of Jack and other things. Oh, as well as those other abominations that are flavored whiskeys that you can compare it to.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is one of those things that you gotta, this is something that Joe Rogan touts. I think he's sponsored by him, honestly, but he's known to go through bottles upon bottles,
Oh
and
man.
it's a nice affordable one. It's not like a $90 bottle where the the acclaim is based off of how much you pay for it. Because
Mm.
sometimes as things get more expensive, such as
Mm-hmm.
your body wash, you tend to rank it higher. It'll give it a little more edge than you normally would. But spending the extra $2-3
Mm-hmm.
instead of buying the traditional Jack Daniels, that's the way to go right here with this one. So I think you got to use this as a standard. Call this a 7 to every future rating that you get.
Mm. You know what? I think it's about time I do give it a rating. Let me take another sip before I do.
You got to inhale, enjoy it,
Mm.
shoot it.
Shoot
Hell,
it.
look, remember the bottle. Remember the bottle. What you had such high rankings and high sayings for the bottle.
I did. You know what?
Look at
I'm,
the
I'm going to split my ranking both on the bottle and also on the drink itself. So the bottle,
sure.
I'm going to give the bottle, I'm going to give it a 8, and I'll explain why. 8 out of 10, because number one, the actual shape of the bottle is rather ordinary, and I'm sure you'd agree. It's nothing that really catches the eye purely on the shape. But because the slightly raised letters of the Buffalo Trace, as I'm like moving my fingers across it, and also the specific cut the label with the picture of the buffalo on it is so
Sure.
unique. I don't see it too often. That bumps it up to an 8 for me.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And you got to see, even on the back with all the verbiage, even that label has little riffles on the edge to give you that kind of old-timey feel, like this came out of a newspaper or something like that.
I
Still in
noticed
that
that.
sepia tone.
I like that. I like that. I also
So,
enjoyed, by the way, and you may know this, more than me, but I realized, as you mentioned, I would not need a bottle opener for this bottle. I would just pop off the
hmm
top, basically, kind of screws off, or it pops off, however you want to describe it, which is so
yep.
nice. It saves me the trouble of having like a tool in my pocket or some apparatus that I have to go get from the kitchen. So that was good. So that covers the aesthetics, that covers the visual and everything. Now for the taste. Again, since this is the first time that I've drunk bourbon in quite some time, it just tastes like whiskey to me. It just tastes like
Sure, sure,
what I
fair,
recall
fair.
from the past, like a old Johnny Walker, perhaps, or maybe not a Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels, I would always mix it with Coke. I think they would call it like a
hmm
Jack and Coke or something. So the
hmm
taste would be
hmm
sweeter back then. Taste wise, for this, I would give it a 7 out of 10.
There we
Um,
go.
it's a reference. It's something that I will remember. I'm trying to pay attention to the flavors more than anything, because I know liquor will always have that rough alcohol edge to it. At least some of these whiskeys, right? Especially the 90 proofs. But beyond that,
hmm
I think it's something that grows on you after the first sip. I'll say that much. Um, it's overall enjoyable. So it's 7 out of 10 for me for the drink, 8 out of 10 for the label and the bottle. How about you? What's your rating of it?
No, I'm right there with you. So I use Buffalo Trace as kind of my standard when
Mm,
it comes to looking at bourbons. So flavor wise, I give it a 7 because that's about standard. You're passing
sure.
if you're above that, and under that you're questionable. Questionable, like the D that you normally get on your diplomas. Questionable,
Yes.
questionable.
Yes.
I think the bottle itself is actually a little more beautiful than you give it credit for.
Mm,
But that's also because I've bought many, many bottles. I think there's something classic about it. For something like me, you mentioned that it was kind of like it reminds you of being a cowboy or something
yes.
like that. So take a look at the bottle.
Mm,
Imagine on the bottom part of the neck. You see how it goes back in before it becomes the actual bottle itself?
I do. I do.
That, for some reason, it reminds me of something that you would just kind of sling a rope around and have on the side pocket for easy access, similar to like the monks or like all those drunken karate guys. They have that flask readily available
Sure.
at all times. I feel like that's a perfect spot for it. When you hold it, as the drunkard that you are, imagining that you're, back on the streets, your pinky cradles it almost perfectly as you hold on to the neck of the bottle. So the
Mm,
slippage is almost non-existent if you know what you're doing.
mm,
Um, so I mean, the bottle's beautiful. It's nothing too crazy. It has
hmm.
just enough nuance in it to make it unique, right? With the buffalo staring right at you, kind of tempting you
And
to just
also,
say, "Hey, this is my territory."
you might notice, like, on top of the bottle, like where we broke the seal, they
hmm
got these running buffalo around the edge of it, right? Or how do you call it? The neck of the bottle. That's kind of
hmm
nice too. It's a
hmm
nice touch. Wow.
No, it's beautiful, and at the end of the day, for a price point of give or take $25
Hmm.
before tax, it's it's so affordable compared to many other bottles out there, considering how much you're going to get. Because you're going to get at least 25 pours out of this, um, unless you're me, and you're going to be able to just break new grounds with something that's not going to hurt your wallet. So to me, it's a great standard again that you want to hold everything to because we'll eventually get to the point where we're going to be spending $40 a bottle. I can't justify spending anything above 80 a bottle nowadays.
Mm,
Um, so you're getting less than $1 a pour. if you were to go and get your cocktail or whatever, you're spending at least $10 a pour.
Sure.
So when you take that into account, this is an outstanding bottle that I'm happy to have introduced to you as we begin this journey as the cowboys that we are.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad to be part of this journey with you. And one other whiskey to add to the queue, if you think it's
Ooh.
worthwhile.
Oh my God, the queue.
Oh
don't
no,
remind me
this
about
is the
queue.
priority queue. This is the priority queue.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, this is a good one. It's a good one. It's the one you want to be on, basically. So I've been recommended this actually. It's a favorite of one of my
Sure.
friends, Macallan 12-year double cask. Have you heard about that one? It's
I have.
mm,
I have double cast. I'm not sure. I
mhm.
used to love Macallan's. I believe it was the 8, if I remember correctly. What color is the Macallan 12?
Oh, you know what? That's a good question. That warrants a Google search really quickly. Let me see.
Yeah.
Macallan
Macallan
12-year double
12.
cask.
Double cask. I mean, worth a shot. Worth a shot.
It's a little fancy. It's a single malt
it,
Scotch whiskey.
it is.
I guess it's
The,
on the
the reason
sweeter
why
side. Yeah.
I hold Macallan so high is there's this show called The Suits that I love to death. If put that on the other queue for you,
Sure.
because I doubt you'll ever get to it. But it's a corporate lawyer show,
Hmm.
and the guy always drinks Macallan 25, and it is such a baller drink, and the guy is so baller. I always attribute Macallan to that character, Harvey Specter, who's able to get his way in the courtroom and in all things inside and outside of the law.
Mm.
So Macallan's solid. 12, I don't think I've ever got, or maybe I've had here or there,
Mm.
but
Mm. Well,
sure.
it may be something we add to the queue and take a look at later. But you mentioned courtrooms. I do want to bring up something that I've been watching a little bit, and actually, as a matter of fact, there's been so much to cover. This past year since we did our last episode. Number one, let me ask: are you a fan of those clips of courtrooms? Those trials for the celebrities. Like I know earlier this year, the whole thing with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard was very popular. Like my social media feed was being filled up with different clips and memes and like reactions and whatnot. I wasn't even interested in these two people. I never even heard Amber Heard speak before. But after watching those clips, I became aware of this trial and even started following it a little bit. And more recently, I don't know if you know who this character is, but there's this conspiracy theorist, right wing conspiracy theorist that's like really nutty, really out there. His name is Alex Jones. And he got into a lot of trouble because I think for a greater part of a decade, he was calling
Yeah,
the whole Sandy Hook massacre a farce. He was saying that
sure.
these were child actors, these were paid adult actors, they're running drills. It was like, corporations were behind it, like all this crap, right? And finally, he got his comeuppance in court. I think he was, asked to
Come up
pay
it.
like 4 million initially, and then punitive damages were like 45 million or something like this.
That's
Um,
nothing to him.
yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing. Like, I think he's such a shady character. He was broadcasting that his company Infowars is bankrupt. He's been saying it loud and proud, I guess, to maybe reduce the amount of money that he would have to give to these grieving
Mm,
families to give them some closure. But good riddance. I'm glad that they cleaned him out. He was he was kind of like a Trump figure in a way, where he can convince a lot of people who are maybe weak minded to follow him, to believe that what he's saying, the lies that he's spewing and publishing and broadcasting are truth. And after a while, you kind of realize, even if you're one of his believers, that this guy is full of it and he's hurting people. He's convincing people who are like a niche group in society, like less than 1%, that are kind of free thinkers in a weird way. Like they actually think that, this guy's telling the truth, and they go on and attack the victims of the Sandy Hook massacre. They go on and do all these crazy things. And I'm just glad that this guy is finally paying up for the years of, crap that he's been spewing. But with that being said, what's your take on these, celebrity trials and this you know, sudden media interest, the social media interest in them?
I give two fucks about them. I think it's a waste of time,
Sure.
honestly.
Mm.
It's like, why are we going to pay heed to some millionaires' misfortunes, their first world problems? I'm not undermining the fact that there may have been abuse on both of their cases. That makes sense to bring light to, but the way that it was blown up was extraordinary. I would much rather have learned other stories of other people that have been abused and bring light to the fact that it happens to normal people. The fact that they have the limelight on them and it allows them to broadcast their story to broader audiences
Mm.
just kind of makes it seem almost like it's a marketing ploy.
Mm.
There's a saying where they say all marketing is good marketing, or what is it? All exposure is good exposure,
All
some shit like
publicity.
that.
All publicity.
Yeah, and it's true because what Johnny Depp was able to, I guess, recast doubt, or not recast doubt, but to uh, improve his image by winning the case. Maybe in some people's opinion, but in other people, I'm sure that were on the side of Amber, kind of provide more doubt to the whole thing. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. They're millionaires. They probably were just in between movies right now and decided, oh, right now is a good time. We're gonna get divorced anyways. We might as well broadcast this to the world. Let's let the writers know when we're coming in, and let's schedule the events when I come in my Bentley to get shot at, so I can get a new front page picture at the bullshit times.
Mm.
You know, whatever.
Mm.
Um, when it comes to at least your buddy, what was the name? Jones, Mr. Jones,
Mr. Jones,
um,
yes.
Mr. Jones. I'm with you. I think pieces of shit like that that spread misinformation for their own financial gain should be brought justice one way or another. Can I blame him for the world that we live in, full of bullshit influencers and OnlyFans and God knows whatever else that you and I have yet to even look into, where people are making a living doing that? Of
Mm.
course, I'm sure if you and I had a loyal following and our income streams depended on it, you would kind of follow the dollar unless you were raised the way that we were, I think. So part of the blame is on the people that blindly listen and take their words as truth. They being the influencers, or in this case, Mr. Jones.
Mm.
I think that it's more of a call on understanding what's out there and how to actually fact check or question everything rather than just accept everything. I think given our STEM based minds, we're able to understand for the most part.
Mm.
And, unless it's, well, rather, even if it's written in a peer reviewed journal, still question what kind of comes from the results rather than just say, oh, yeah, I guess that's true. Might as well talk shit to everybody else that thinks otherwise. So I think it's a personal issue that people have, and I mean, maybe they just need more education, which is something that I kind of tend to push for, more training or
Mm.
just more understanding and exposure to other things rather than that one thing they subscribe to because they got their car and now have Sirius XM for free for a year, and they've subscribed now for the rest of their life. It's shit like that. I don't care. I don't have enough time anymore to even worry about that shit. To me, I'm more interested in learning about products like bourbon and understanding how things are made and trying to replicate it myself rather than
Mm.
just taking things at face value. Um,
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And, a random question for you. Do you know where a lot of the world's semiconductors are fabricated? I know you like to know how things are made and everything. What
It's in
country
Taiwan.
That is correct. Ding, ding, ding. And perfect segue, by the way, because in Taiwan, of course, there is the fab called TSMC, right? A lot of different
Sure.
wafers, a lot of different products are manufactured there. My company's wafers are not. We're not dependent on Taiwan. We're all domestic.
Sure.
But it is interesting to note that recently there's been some big developments happening in and around Taiwan. Of course, many of you avid listeners know, based on current events, that one of our, I would say, what is she now? Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, one of the members of the House of Representatives, the upper house of the, I guess it's the lower house, actually, of the Congress
House of Commons?
America.
Okay.
I was actually thinking of the UK first, silly me. So Pelosi decided to unilaterally make this decision to go visit Taiwan, which was actually something that was very controversial in the U.S. I think the executive branch, headed by Joe Biden, Don's guy, was very.
That's my dude.
That's his dude, right?
Let's
Blue
go blue.
side for life. That's right. That's right. Boys in blue forever. So, Biden, I think, was nervous about this, and as was most people, because with the tensions already high between the U.S. and China, for trade reasons, for security reasons, for human rights reasons, having this high-ranking official from the U.S. go visit Taiwan's country and meet with the heads of state over there, it can be seen as a political message. And China, of course, reacted as everybody expected they would. They started launching missiles all around the country of Taiwan. A friend of mine, who lives in Taiwan, he's a coworker of mine as well. He shared a picture showing the actual regions where the missiles landed. And it was pretty much like encircling the entire country. And then the very next day, I believe China launched a missile over the mainland body of Taiwan, which is insane to me. Fortunately, though, this missile was very, very high up in the air, didn't hit anything. It was just a message, of course, posturing, if you will. But man, I mean, this has been going on for some time. Of course, we know the history between Taiwan and China. Let me ask you this. What did you make of the recent events, and did you approve of Nancy Pelosi going over to Taiwan for a quick visit?
Yeah, as a high-ranking government official as myself, I did approve of her visiting Taiwan. I think it's more of a, if I put on my conspiracy theorist hat.
Okay, Mr.
Joe
Jones.
was like, my boy Joe was like, shit, I got COVID. I can't go. And then when it was time for him to go, he's like, shit, I got it again. Pelosi, it's your turn to step up.
But why not Kamala? Why not Kamala Harris?
Many reasons. That's a whole other episode.
What does that mean?
That's a whole other episode.
Oh, man. All right. We'll say that for 55. We'll say that for 55.
I think they made a much bigger deal than really had to be on Taiwan's side, because my wife is Taiwanese.
Sure.
And she's been watching a lot of the news that's been going on and showcasing what's been going on almost on a daily basis. She's very knowledgeable in all things government that happens there, because it's a growing democracy that is going to be nurtured over time. Pelosi was everything for some odd reason, and I can understand why from an outsider's perspective. It's Taiwan's way of saying the U.S. accepts us. Regardless of the warnings that China had issued to the U.S., the U.S. was still able to send someone of stature, quote-unquote stature, in a high-ranking government position to come and visit them. I don't know if there were any meetings held that were diplomatic in any way, or, speaking of any sort of government relations. I don't know. But I do believe it was a sort of nudge that the U.S. gave, because anyone could have shot down anyone visiting Taiwan. It's not that hard to just say, no, you can't go there.
Sure.
But they still allowed it. And it's a soft way of the U.S. supporting Taiwan, whether it be for semiconductor reasons or proximity to China or just basic trade relations. I don't know, but it makes sense to at least nurture and help this growing democracy hedge forth into the future, especially with the assets that they have. China's scary. China's scary. I think they're what many will argue they're number 2 in the world when it comes to power, but just by sheer number, I think they're number 1. And I think it begs a bigger question as to why is this something that we're like kind of still pushing aside the whole Ukraine ordeal. Now we're all worried about China and not Russia anymore. And like, what's going on there when it comes to supporting democracy and supporting nations that would like your help? Why is visiting Taiwan more important than Ukraine right now, or supporting Taiwan
Don,
more important than Ukraine?
Who says that supporting Taiwan is more important than supporting Ukraine?
I just assume. I mean, I would have flown someone in. You know, let's fly in Mike Tyson. I think that'd be great. Or Dennis Rodman. Fly him in to visit Vladimir Putin. That's been our what is it? Our ace up the sleeve, if you will. That we've been. I guess we're holding on to it for some reason. I would have done that a while ago. I mean, it worked for North Korea. I think it worked with Vladimir Putin.
Well, you know, Rodman,
or even Xi Jinping or something, whatever the other dude's name is.
Yeah,
there we go.
You know, I think Rodman has been our ace up the hole for sure, ace up the sleeve. But I think he's almost exclusively attached to North Korea, right? Like he's never.
Man, we wasted that one. We wasted that one.
I know. It would have been nice if something became of the, past president's visit to North Korea, other than just some ceremonial paperwork that was printed and signed.
What do you think then of China now, basically showing Taiwan, hey, we could bomb you at any moment? What do you take of that?
Well, honestly, it's a strong message to tell Taiwan, hey, look, we can squash you like a bug. We can take over in seconds. And you don't have the military, you don't have the foreign support to really combat us if we do. So the best thing for you is to just kind of accept the status quo, continue this uneasy tension that exists between the countries. Is that fair for a growing democracy? I don't think so. I think Taiwan should have the opportunity to truly be independent and separate from China. But is that realistic? I don't know. I think there's so much,
It's hard.
It's really difficult because, China is such a behemoth. There's such a force in the world as an economic power, as a body that can just do wide scale, harm or even benefit to different countries around the world, depending on how they decide to run things. And, I used to think, I was foolish in this regard. I used to think that because Taiwan has TSMC and so many American fabless semiconductor companies are tied to TSMC and dependent on it, there's no way that the U.S. would allow China to take over Taiwan. I used to tell people this. I used to tell everybody this.
Really? Just based off of one company?
Dude, like, if you really read up on this a little bit, TSMC is one of the biggest fabs in the world. They generate huge revenue, and they make so many chips for, like, all the big companies in America. And
percentage-wise, how much is it of the market that they control?
I'm not sure.
Or not control, rather. How much are they, both, on vertical streams? How much are they responsible for, I guess, when it comes to actual production?
I think, if you look at like all the chips that are made in the world, right? Like all different kinds of chips, I would say they're probably around 50%.
Holy shit.
You see what I mean?
They basically have a monopoly almost, or they can if they wanted to, I bet. But
Yeah, I mean
wow.
they're they're pushing for lower and lower process nodes. Like I think less than 5 nanometers is on the horizon for them.
Oh, yeah, well, absolutely. Yep. Five. Got it.
But so in layman's terms, in high level terms, think about it. Like 50% of the market share. That's huge.
Sure.
And
Yeah, yeah.
Samsung's up there as well. Samsung's around like I think 15 or 16%.
Rodman got that already. We're good. All right, we're good about that one.
Because Korea, because of Korea.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think Samsung, unfortunately, is not in the North Korea for Rodman. It's in the
Ah,
South Korea. So
ah. My bad. My
not
bad.
quite the same pull, not quite the same
I was
rebound, if you
thinking.
will. But that's the thing. I thought because TSMC is so big and so many different companies are dependent on its success and its continual production, U.S. would step in and do something if China really wanted to take over.
Sure.
But based on U.S.'s actions with Ukraine, or inaction even, I have my doubts now. I don't know if it's within the foreign policy of the Biden administration or any administration in the U.S. for that matter to actually intervene with troops on the ground. So my fear is that if China really decides to take over, then they'll take over. I hope that doesn't happen for all my Taiwanese colleagues out there, for all my Taiwanese friends out there. I really hope that doesn't happen, but it's a concern that I have. But what about you,
Yeah,
Dom? Yeah.
you had a red slip there, man. I thought you were going to say Chinese counterparts or something over there. I heard the it was coming out. I heard it. All
I
right,
know.
everybody hear
I
that?
did.
Yeah, it's
I
recorded.
mean, I probably
Bam.
said the whole word. Actually, it wasn't just a check. It was the whole Chinese right there. But what about you? What do you think is the future of this conflict between Taiwan and China?
I fear it. I fear it because my extended family, in-laws, are out there still.
Right.
It's
Right.
it's nothing to fuck with.
Mm,
You've seen what they did to the people of Hong Kong. Granted, you have a large body of water in between China and Taiwan. I mean, they've obviously showed that they could pretty much do whatever they wanted to the country
mm,
via military action whenever they wanted to. It's frightening. Do I think China will do anything? No. I think they have such a financial powerhouse that they don't need to do physical interaction to enforce anything. They could take fiscal policy, such as tariffs and things of that sort, to basically starve nations if they wanted to. And this is worldwide, not just Taiwan, right? Like the
mm.
government owes China in the billions, hundreds of billions of dollars uh, due to its debt or the debt that we have to them, which I never understood. That's some just poor agreements made on whoever made those agreements for China with the U.S. Um, so I think nothing in the immediate future will take place unless Taiwan begins to flex a bit more. With what has been showcased in the news, they're flexing a little bit too much, in my opinion, of Pelosi's one-day visit there. But I get it. They're proud, as they should be, as a growing democracy, that the number one democracy in the world is kind of acknowledging them and showcasing that we feel comfortable enough to come here, even though it took like 10 planes of Pelosi to come, right? Because they kind of had to hit it or hide it in order
Yeah,
for China not to shoot it down.
that's right.
Um,
That's right.
so I get the sense of pride, and I don't think China's going to do anything. I think it's beneath them, to be honest, to do something because we all know they could take him back through whatever conflict Taiwan wants to put up. China can take it,
Mm.
unfortunately, or fortunately for some, depending on side you're on, huh? Hey, yeah, right. All your Chinese friends out there, right? I'm just saying.
Hey man, I'm blue side. I'm
Um,
blue side, bro.
okay, sure. Pour yourself another dram.
I did. I just
Um,
did.
no, and I think it's tough. I don't think that the Chinese will take the routes scorched earth routes that some other uh, world leaders would take. Um, so, yeah, I think if anything, it's just going to be fiscal implementation that will naturally starve the country into submission to their authority. I think that's the most they would go in the next decade or two.
I would agree. I don't think China is really interested, to be honest with you, in a
Yeah,
complete
yeah,
military takeover of Taiwan because they don't want to they don't want to deal with all the crap that comes from doing that, right? Like all the international backlash and probably economic downturn that may happen, at least temporarily for them. So, I think Don and I both collectively wish the best for Taiwan, right? I mean,
oh, 100%.
Don has family there. I have friends and coworkers there. I'd like to
Chinese friends.
I'd like to visit Taiwan one day for sure. I've heard nothing but
Beautiful
great things
country.
about it. I've heard nothing but great things for sure. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think we're both supportive of Taiwan being independent and its fight for independence. And we hope that China just remains civil throughout the years. Now, I know you touched on this before, but you mentioned Ukraine and the whole conflict with Russia. I'll be honest with you. In the beginning, I actually thought it would be a rather quick war. I mean, I apologize in advance to everybody in Ukraine that's listening, that's watching our podcast, the still image on YouTube. I apologize to them, but I really thought that it's going to be quick work, it's going to be light work, but I have been so impressed and I'm just completely amazed by the resilience, by the will of the Ukrainian citizens, headed by Vladimir Zelensky. And I've been keeping up with the war. I know recently there's been some progress with the grain. I think something about grain being able to go through uh, the borders or something like this. I've been keeping up with my guy, the prime minister who's on his way out of the UK, Boris Johnson, making random trips to the Ukraine to try to save his premiership and perhaps even his seat in the House of Commons. He's been supporting Ukraine, giving them money, giving them, I guess, weaponry and jets and everything else. Um, I am supporting Ukraine 100%. I mean, I was wrong in the beginning. I was totally wrong to expect that Russia would take over so quickly. I think Russia underestimated the resilience of the Ukrainian people. And more power to Ukraine, man. I hope that, the war ends in a relatively peaceful fashion, even though that's not likely. What do you make of all this, though? Do you think eventually, one side will win in this conflict, or will it just go on forever? Like it'll be like this never-ending battle between the big country Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah, I think Putin is too stubborn to give up. So I think it's going to be a 10, 20-year war, unfortunately, for the Ukrainians.
10, 20 years,
But
Tom? That's a long time.
they're going to starve them out. That's why I'm surprised that the grain was able to get out. I'm like, keep it there. You need it. Keep it. But yeah, I don't know what's come of it. It's a really shitty situation to be in, but I like to speak to the resiliency of the Ukrainians. The fact that even their like top tier boxers, world champions,
That's right.
came to pick up arms. Yeah, the
What's their names again?
Lomachenko and the
Klitschkov or something?
Klitschko. Yeah,
Klitschko.
Klitschko
Yes,
brothers.
yes.
Right, these guys are top tier. Could have gotten away, just hung out in Las Vegas all they wanted to, but they went back to just bear arms next to their president and all the men that are still there without their families, holding the ground, really speaks levels, I think, as to what I think a man should be able to do for his family and for his country.
I just gotta say, I have so much respect for the Klitschko brothers. I mean,
Mhm.
I knew of them from boxing days. Like I've seen some of their fights, and they're really good. But I mean, to stand up for your country, to sacrifice your life. I mean, they're not dead yet, but sacrifice to put your life on the
Might be
line. I
brain
should
dead a little
say
bit.
to put your life on the line, for your country is just an amazing thing. And they're defending their family, they're defending what they believe in, and I'm just so impressed. I'm just so impressed by
Oh
the
yeah,
people of Ukraine.
yeah, yeah, and I think it comes with having a small territory, kind of similar to Taiwan. You take pride in everything that goes on,
Mm,
whether it's defending your country's status, their beliefs, and just being there with your people. California in and of itself is bigger than these countries, so I feel like we don't have that kind of loyalty that they have, and we'll never have that amount of loyalty because we're just too big to actually feel that. Um, it's crazy. Like if I were to put myself in one of the Klitschko brothers' shoes,
mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would be able to just leave everything and go. Like I know how to fight with my hands, not a fucking gun. I don't know what to do if a missile's coming at me made of metal. I know what to do when a freaking 16-ounce glove is coming to my face, but not a goddamn missile.
And I think that's the definition of bravery right there. I mean, you don't always have the answers. You don't always know if what you're doing is the right thing, but you stare a guy like Putin in the face. You stare his militia, his army in the face, and you say, "You know what? Not today. You're not going to take
Yeah.
over my land today." And that's just such a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's frightening. So I'm gonna pour one out for them.
There you
Not that
go.
they're gonna die, but to
Absolutely.
cheers for them.
Absolutely. And this will be my last pour, by the way. I'm going to
Yeah, I
say
mean,
last dram
you
right here.
should.
But I will say, I liked that we touched on the conflicts internationally between Taiwan and China in Asia, and the war in mainland Europe between Ukraine and Russia. Now, there's been some conflicts in Southern California as well, and I'm talking
Mm.
about, of course, who the Lakers will keep this offseason. Westbrook has had an interesting summer. He has let go of his agent for many, many years and signed with
Sure.
somebody new. I guess the former agent recommended him to stay with the Lakers because that gives him the best opportunity, and I guess it's the best, situation for him from the former agent's perspective. But Westbrook thought otherwise, and that makes me think. Do you think a trade is very near for the Lakers? Do you think they're very close? Are they on the verge of trading Westbrook away finally to get something, to get some bubble gum, to get some Ziploc bag of air in return?
I don't think they're close. I think
Mm.
the Lakers are playing a little bit of hardball.
Mm.
And they're playing hardball because they don't want to give too many, what is it, 27 and 29 first round picks. They don't want to include them all. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why. Because, I mean, one person in those years, we don't even know that guy's like, 13 years old right now, maybe at best. Um, do you really have someone in mind already that is
Well,
going to be a
let,
game
let me
changer?
let me let me put it to you like this. Do you know who was once 13 years old? LeBron James.
Oh, well, fucking everyone. Sure.
Everyone,
Yeah.
right? So
Everyone over the age of 13?
there
Sure.
you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
okay.
I mean,
All right.
it's as simple as
See,
that. I mean, but
okay.
yeah, yeah.
I don't think, I think Westbrook is, I don't think we can get rid of him. I don't understand why they won't just put together a package and give another team what they want
Dude, but
for
think about it.
Westbrook, to
Think about it.
offload Westbrook and bring on somebody of some stature that will actually be beneficial and constructive to the team. All the things that I've been reading, I haven't read it in the past couple of days, but in the past couple of weeks, has been that in the beginning, Westbrook was like, all right, we're bound to make this work. We're bound to make this work. Let's work on it really hard. And then they hire Ham, and supposedly now Westbrook doesn't want to follow Ham's suggestions. And Westbrook's being an asshole now. Doesn't want to play ball with the team, which pisses me off because it's. I mean, maybe he's being very defensive given all the shade that he's been thrown. But well, welcome to fucking Showtime Lakers, my man. This is everything that you dreamed of, and unfortunately, you don't like it. Well,
Yeah.
sorry. You got to take what you give, and if you can't shine when the spotlight's on you, then fucking rust away as a sixth man. Otherwise, we're happy to ship you off. I think the Lakers front office is just trying to add a bit of polish on him, if you will, to kind of make a case to not give up as much as other teams are willing to take.
Well,
it sucks.
I think it is right for the Lakers to play some hardball because think about it. First round picks are super valuable. Super, super valuable.
Understood. And those first round picks, respectively, would really yield great picks.
Well, they would also be kind of like the most important asset that's tradable for the Lakers, right? Because I think the way to look at this is they want to get rid of Westbrook, sure. I think that's evident. Everybody would agree. But they also want to keep some picks in reserve for future trades. They don't want to have a situation like I guess they're in right now where they gave away their next few years of picks, and like the situation they were in before with Steve Nash trading away multiple years of picks to get him. They want to have some flexibility for the future. Now,
no, we already gave up. We gave up the boat for Anthony Davis. We gave up the whole war chest. You fucking went all in already for Anthony Davis.
And it worked, though, right? It paid off. It paid off.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. And we need to capitalize on that while we still have LeBron and Anthony Davis. You're going to save that pick for when Anthony Davis is in hopefully getting a veteran minimum at that point?
But really,
and LeBron is well into his coaching years?
Coaching the AAU travel team with his two sons on there. And by the way, I just have to say, when you look at LeBron's sons, I think the younger one is taller than the oldest one, which is interesting.
He's taller. I want to say he's more gifted. I mean, it'll take some time to see.
Right.
They're still young.
Right.
I think Bronny's going to be garbage. So I think there's still hope.
You're confident about that?
I'll put money on it right now. Will he ever be an all-star? No.
That's pretty mean, though, man. I mean, the kid's just in high school still, right? Like, give him a chance.
No. Hey, if you are basically being touted on social media as the next big thing, as one of the next big
No. Nobody's touting Bronny as being like the number one pick.
No,
Nobody's saying that.
Like, you know what they're touting? They're touting the fact that once he gets in the league, he is their ticket to landing LeBron James, unfortunately. But no, I don't think he's going to be good. I think he might be a good role player, but he's just too small to be a meaningful asset to a team.
I got to say on that note, like I got to give credit to LeVar Ball because I just can't help but remember in one of the interviews he gave, he said something like, I wanted to make, basketball prodigies. And the way that I do it, I got to find me a woman that's an athlete, that's tall, that's strong. Like he's basically saying that he but he found a mate to create Lonzo Ball, to create his siblings like Melo and LiAngelo with the best genes as possible. And, I mean, you can't really look at life that way, but he did, and he was somewhat successful for it. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. But, I think for Westbrook's situation specifically, going back to Westbrook, I think he will eventually be traded. And he will go to a place where he can finally be what he wants to be, which is the guy playing for a sub 500 team. No hope for the playoffs, but he's Mr. Triple-Double. He's, counting up the statistics. He's going to get more triple-doubles ever, probably, than any player in the history of the NBA, if he hasn't done so already. But the real question is, Don, what do you think we should get in return? What's the best kind of asset? What's the best kind of complementary piece to Anthony Davis and LeBron James that would really help us win the title.
We've been saying this for the past 2 years now. We just need a shooter. Just a
So
shooter.
Buddy Hield then.
I wouldn't even say Buddy Hield, even a Joe Harris. Just
Oh,
a
come
spot-up
on, bro.
shooter.
Joe
Hey,
Harris.
that's a big
Big
that's a
Dick
big
Joe.
upgrade from fucking Brody. I mean, would you rather have Joe Harris or Brody on the team right now? I'm pretty sure you'd say Joe Harris.
Actually, I don't know. I don't know if that's
Mm-mm.
that's a step up, to
Do you
be
want it?
honest with you.
Do you want a guaranteed turnover or someone that'll at least run the floor?
Well, I mean, either
They,
way, I mean, I don't know if that's a guaranteed make. Joe Harris will take that
I
corner
never said it
three.
was a guaranteed make, but I'd rather him take a shot than Brody.
I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that.
See,
But I
and
mean,
with
I think we can get more value out of a
sure,
former All-Star,
sure,
former
sure.
MVP. Let's not let that. Don't get that twisted, my friends. Westbrook is a former league MVP. Do you know what that means? Do you know how hard it is to be an MVP of an entire league? I mean, that's so rare to
I
do.
don't. With my high government position, I unfortunately don't have much time to allocate to
Right.
playing ball. My heart's not in it most of the time, so
Right.
I gotta just kind of deal with what I got.
And I mean, my knees aren't in it either anymore, so I feel you on that one for sure. I feel you.
Oh, my back, my head, dude, everything hurts.
The
Wake
skeletal,
up.
the skeletal is not really, complying with the basketball game. I understand. I understand. I here's my final take on this one. I'll say, if Westbrook somehow stays with the Lakers, I think our season is doomed. I really don't think we have a shot at the finals. Can we make the playoffs with a healthy Westbrook, Anthony Davis, and LeBron? Probably. But will they all be healthy? Will all three be healthy? Highly unlikely. I mean, we know LeBron has been playing fewer and fewer games every season. Anthony Davis, we're lucky to get 2 games out of him out of 82. So, it's not the most, fortuitous situation for the Lakers to have Westbrook on the team. But if we are able to trade him, I do agree with Don. Getting a shooter is paramount. Buddy Hield is one candidate that's likely. I think it's gettable. Um, but beyond that, I would like a scorer, like not just a shooter, but somebody that you can give the rock to, and he can score in isolation. Um, I don't know if you noticed, but LeBron made an appearance at the Drew League not too long ago, a couple weeks back, and he did a fair job. I think he dropped like a 40-piece chicken nugget. And along with that, DeMar DeRozan was his teammate. DeMar DeRozan probably dropped around 30 himself. And I'm just thinking, like, that's not a bad situation. Like, LeBron being the elder statesman, he's okay with taking more threes spot up. He's okay with
Hmm.
cutting to the rim and finishing, not so much running every fucking play. I mean, come on. The guy is like 37, 38. Give him a break, right? That's why we got Westbrook in the first place. But if we were to trade Westbrook for a guy that can kind of do it all, but maybe is not that good defensively, like maybe a Cam Reddish or, somebody else who's versatile on the wing, I'm okay with that. I think that's the key to the Lakers making a run in the playoffs.
Sure. Yeah,
But
I think versatility is big. I don't agree with your ISO comment. I don't want anybody that can play ISO.
why? Why not?
Uh,
Why not?
because you already have three people, or then you'll have three people hogging the ball whenever they get the ball.
But see,
LeBron, when he does it, always, well, you can't blame LeBron for doing it. When AD gets it, he's always fucking going to the elbow, and then he's like, oh, I don't like it. I'm going to kick it back to the
I don't
person that
like
passed
it.
it. Oh, my back hurts. My back hurts. I feel like giving, tightening up, tightening up.
Yeah,
Get some icy hot.
that's
I
right.
don't want more of that. I think the versatility is what's key. You want someone that runs around, that's able to at least base the floor and knock down that shot when Anthony Davis ultimately will pass the ball back to him.
Well, let me ask you this. Anthony Davis, what do you think his season will be like for the Lakers? A lot of
I hope we
people.
trade him.
No, come on. Don't say that.
I,
Don't say that.
I hope we trade him. I hope before the season begins, we include him in a trade to Brooklyn
For what? For who? For KD?
for KD. That's what I'm
Oh.
hoping. That's what I'm hoping. I think the glass that he is made of is already breaking in this off season, and I think we need to harvest the maximum value that we can. And I think that's what the Lakers are doing. They're saying, hey, we're not going to trade our greatest assets away. We're not going to trade it. And just building that kind of value, that aura that they have around other players. But then when the time comes, they'll be like, all right, fine, we'll give you Westbrook and AD for Ben Simmons and KD, with your picks, of course, something like that. I think that's what's going to happen. That's what I want to happen. I love Anthony Davis as a player. I just, like you said, we're going to get 2 games out of him? 2 good games? Maybe 1 good game out of those
one
2?
good game, 1 bad game. It'll even out to about 15 points a game.
Because the West is so strong, man. It's tough.
Dude, I'm fucking scared of the Clippers. I'm not going to lie. The Clippers look fucking good.
Hey, I don't know if I sent you that Instagram post, but Kawhi with the bully ball look,
I saw that.
Dude.
I saw that.
Did his thighs fucking double in size? Like, was he doing nothing but squats and lunges his whole fucking rehab?
Hey, man.
Because
I think. Go ahead.
I don't want to fuck with them, man. Like, I need to get some New Balances now. I feel like that's the key.
Yeah, I want those New Balance 2 ways for sure. I mean, they look pretty dope now. I mean, especially with them Thunder thighs on. But I just gotta say, like, the lineup for the Clippers with like John Wall now in the mix. Let's not forget about that big offseason acquisition. John Wall, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. That to me has the potential to be the best front court in basketball. What do you say to that?
Front court?
Yeah, man.
I'd say, well, it's tough. We have yet to see what Kawhi is like, aside from the pictures, because fuck that. If I see that guy, I'm like, nah, I'm good. Sit me out. I'll take the L, whatever. What do you need? You want me to get you water? Something like that.
You know, the feeling I get is because he's bulking up a little bit, it probably means that he's willing to play more power forward, more so than he did before. And
I would think so. That's why they said bully ball, right? Because now he's ready to bang a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And that would make sense given their acquisition of Wall. The thing is, again, we haven't seen Kawhi play since he's been injured. We haven't seen Wall play since, dude. When did we last see Wall play, honestly? Washington?
I think the last time we saw Wall play, the pandemic hadn't started yet.
Yeah. See? So that's one thing. I mean,
that's right.
Paul George, Pandemic P. I mean, how many backboards are we going to get this year? I think that's a good bet to have for him. But no, I mean, if they're all healthy and they all meet expectations, even meet 80 to 90% of expectations, they are a scary bunch. I don't know if they have depth, but that might not even matter if they're all playing at the level that we hope that they play at, because that would be a very entertaining team, starting 5 to watch, regardless of who the other 2 people are. You could just put Zoo out there. I mean, Zoo will just do anything that they say anyways. And I mean, what, like a decent point guard? Who is the Clippers point guard right now? Well, it's going to be Wall, but sorry, who's the shooting guard then?
I thought Paul George would play shooting guard and maybe Kawhi would start at small forward, and then they might mix up the rotation later depending on who's coming off the bench.
We got they still got Reggie Jackson. That's 2021. Mm-hmm. Well, either way, I think it's fun. Yeah, they still have Reggie Jackson, who could probably slide in. He's a pretty solid player.
He's good,
but
man.
the other teams
especially
that they have,
playoffs, man. Reggie Jackson is like an all-star.
Sure, Reggie Jackson. Terrence Mann has been growing steadily.
That's
so
right.
Hopefully, he keeps his trajectory up.
Yep.
But let me say, what do you think of Isaiah Brown?
Man, I don't even know who he played for, to be honest with you. He's on the Clippers? Who is he? Like a center or something?
He's on the Clippers. Oh, they have Covington, actually.
Oh, dude, that's a huge get. Covington is... Dude, think about it.
Yeah,
I think Clippers potentially could have the best starting lineup for defense, especially on the perimeter.
Oh, shit. Well, they also have Batum.
Yeah.
They got Batum. They got Marcus Morris.
Hell yeah.
They have Norman Powell, too.
Wow.
I mean, these aren't like...
So Norman Powell is starting then. He has to start. He's so good.
Yeah. like these aren't game-changing players,
Yeah.
but they are if you're surrounded them with the right team. And okay, so depth-wise, I think they have a solid like 8 players that they could work around, which is fine. Gives Kawhi his time to rest those thunder thighs of his.
Yes. Yes, that's right.
You know,
That's right.
but they only have one true center in Zubac, which Zubac I think is a great little foundational piece that you're probably not going to run it through him anyways, but he does everything that you want at a decent click. So that's great. No, fuck that. That's scary. I don't like it.
See, this is the problem, right? I think looking at that lineup, hearing everything that you've been preaching for the past 10 minutes, I think Clippers are actually a better team than the Lakers. And I hate to say it. It burns me inside to admit that.
No.
No? You
Nope.
don't think so? You don't
Nope.
think so? Come on.
Nope.
Come
Never, ever, never. We could go back to the Russell, Randall phase that we had. That team was still better than this Clippers now.
Wait. What's the Russell Randall phrase? Expound upon that.
This was before LeBron, before all that, before we gave up everything. As a Laker faithful, as you should be, right?
Oh, you mean D'Angelo?
Together.
I'm talking about D'Angelo, not Westbrook. Got you. Okay.
Oh, did I say Westbrook?
No. You said Russell. And I was thinking,
Westbrook.
When was Russell Westbrook and Julius Randle together on the same team? My bad. I'm on the same page as you now. I got you.
Any team that the Lakers put together is going to be better than the Clippers because fuck the Clippers. Okay, it's, I don't care. I mean, I could respect on the team. Cool, gamer knows game. Get it. Or is it game respect today? There we go. We'll go with either or.
Okay, I'll give you that.
But I will never support the Clippers. Ship them off to fucking Seattle, will you? But the money's too good here, so I get it.
Well, they're not going to Seattle, but they're going to go to Inglewood in a couple of years, so you don't have to wait too long.
Streets!
These LA streets, man. They don't fuck around. LA streets don't fuck around. I gotta say, I would have loved to see John Wall on the Lakers, and maybe you'd agree with that. I think John Wall being a pass-first point guard with the capability of taking over games if necessary, I think he would be the perfect fit for the LA Lakers. If only they could have orchestrated a Westbrook for Wall trade, I think it would have made sense for both parties. Think about it. Houston Rockets are still tanking, right? I mean, they have Jalen Green, sure. They have Kevin Porter Jr., sure. Christian Wood, is he still there? I don't remember. Did he get traded?
I think they trade him off. They trade him off to Dallas.
Oh shit! You weren't kidding them. The West is really deep. The West is man. So
yeah, it's scary.
It's going to be tough for the Lakers to, make the playoffs number one, let alone get first seed in the Pacific Division. I don't see it happening, to be honest with you, but it all depends on what happens with Westbrook. I think he's the key in all of this. Now, do you think that if the Lakers keep Westbrook, can they make the playoffs? Is there a chance that they can't?
Yeah, with the healthy Anthony Davis and LeBron. But are we really going to keep both of them healthy throughout the duration of the year? Doubtful. Unfortunately, LeBron's been showing that he is human and has been getting injured. That groin of his, man. I mean, he's got big balls, so I understand how heavy it could be sometimes. But it's tough. I hope, and I am still willing to bet that the Lakers will win it all. But if I were to remove myself and take a third-party look at the whole situation, I would say no. I think even if they were to make the playoffs, they would get gentlemen swept in the first round or in play-ins, unfortunately, because the West is, I mean, just basketball in general, even the East, it's not as bad as it was before when it came to getting through the West.
Yeah.
But it's still freaking tough. And we're in that weird phase where the young guns are starting to come up and really make a name for themselves. Like my boy Ant-Man, that's my dude. I'm expecting great things from him this year, especially considering that he now has a set of Twin Towers with them.
Dude, that's fucking crazy. Like Rudy Gobert, who I think won Defensive Player of the Year, if I'm not mistaken, again, along with Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, that
Marcus Smart won it. Marcus Smart.
Oh, sorry, Marcus Smart. But Rudy Gobert, he's always in the conversation, right? He's always
Oh,
top
100%.
three. So,
Hmm.
I mean, that could be a really good defensive team. I mean, I don't know how they're going to make it work with the Twin Towers, but if they pull it off, man, I think they're going to give the Lakers a run for their money. That's the thing,
Oh,
man. I don't know if the Lakers can even make the playoffs. I mean, just listing all these teams, it's so difficult.
Yeah. Like I'm loading up the standings right now really quick just to see the other teams.
Sure.
Uh, West, Phoenix is gonna make it. Memphis is hungry now, even hungrier than they were last year. Golden State's gonna be a shoe-in. Dallas Mavericks just got better. Jazz are gonna be out,
Right.
so that's one spot. Nuggets are in. Timberwolves are definitely, I think, gonna be in.
Right.
Clippers are definitely gonna be in. Portland should, in theory, be a shoe-in also, and that's 8, 9. So
Why do you think Portland is a shoo-in? What makes you think that?
I believe in Dame time.
Dude, come on.
I believe in Dame time.
But they lost CJ
That's the main
McCollum,
thing.
man. They don't have his
And
Robin.
whatever. He doesn't need a Robin.
Dude, the
Or actually,
disrespect,
they
man.
just resigned. What are they? They resigned Nurkic, didn't they?
Nurkic, yeah,
They
they
also
got
got
him.
my boy GP2 now in there.
Solid pickup,
So
solid. Yeah.
he's going to be. I mean, he's not the biggest, but we've seen rather, that he has heart. I mean, I don't think he'll be a starter, but coming off the bench, he's going to be solid. Who else did they pick up? We got Big Dick Joe Ingles on there now.
Oh, he's still
So
there.
he's going to be solid, right? They picked
Okay.
up. Oh, there we go. Jeremy Grant,
There we go.
who's that versatile guy that you want, as well as they got Hart, which is not much to go on.
Hey, come on.
But I
Former
think
Laker. Former Laker. Give him his respect.
you didn't even mention D'Angelo Russell when you were talking about Minnesota. Come on now. Come
Dude,
on now.
I mean,
You can't throw shade at me for doing that too.
that's the thing. I mean, the Timberwolves on paper, if you count D'Angelo Russell as an all-star, and he was a one-time all-star, I think they're pretty good. I think they're bound for the playoffs for sure. And that's the crazy thing, man. I mean, LeBron, as much as we like him and we appreciate him and venerate him, I just don't know if a trio of LeBron, AD, and Westbrook is enough to make the playoffs. And even if we trade Westbrook, we get like a Buddy Hield or we get like a Cam Reddish or whatever. Is that enough to really make the playoffs and make a resounding statement in a playoffs? I don't know. I feel like
I don't think so.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Trade Anthony Davis.
But is that going to help? I mean, AD's a good player, man. He's really good.
It's a sad reality that you have to accept. It's a great player, that's great, but you already have LeBron, so you're gonna get your jersey sales, you're gonna get your 50 wins throughout the season. You'll
You
still
think
sell
50
tickets
wins,
because you're in
man?
LA.
I'd be happy with 45, man. 50 is a
No,
50 is a lot.
we're gonna get 50 easily,
All right,
50 easy.
all right. I'm with that.
Even if we have Brody, but yeah, I just unfortunately it's one of those things. Take the hint from Utah. Take the hint from Houston. Take the hint from San Antonio. It's time. It's time. I mean, granted, you don't want to waste LeBron's final years, but you're not. Just give him the ball. Let him get the records. He doesn't need a supporting cast. He'll make anyone work.
Let's talk about that
if
for
you're
a
gonna
second. Let's talk about that for a second. So, more than likely, if LeBron averages like 15 points a game for the rest of the season, he'll become the leading scorer all time in the NBA, surpassing
As he should
the
be.
record set by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. As he should be, I agree. Now, do you think his career will be looked at in a more favorable light because he surpassed Kareem with this longevity record? Or will people always be in the same position and they'll say, you know what? He's only won, 4 championships. He's not as good as the other greats. He's not better than Michael. This birth, this accomplishment does nothing for his legacy. What is your take on that?
I think he has a great legacy to begin with. He's definitely, of course, a Hall of Famer. He's top 75, will be top 100, will be top
He should
20
be
of all
top
time
5.
easily.
He should be top 5, bro.
Sure.
There was something that I read about, and I saw a comment about, com- the question of whether LeBron is the GOAT. I think that's what this kind of can boil down to. And there was a clip of Ray Allen being approached by some bystanders saying LeBron was the GOAT of all time, or the GOAT, just in general, of the NBA.
Sure.
And Ray Allen put it in a nice perspective. He just asked the kid, can LeBron shoot free throws at a good clip? No. Is he a great three-point shooter? No. Does he have a high turnover ratio? I mean, there's others that are better. In order to be the GOAT, you got to be excelling in every single category. That's what Michael Jordan did. I wouldn't say Kareem did it, but that's what Michael Jordan did. And I think that, records are great, but just bring up the whole triple-double record that Brody has in the season. I mean, shit, when you look at his lineup or supporting cast, you're like, well, yeah, that makes sense why he fucking got what he got.
Mm-hmm.
So whether or not we want to compare Kareem to LeBron when it comes to the records, I mean, he's in the era that we're really closely following basketball. So I think we'd agree that LeBron deserves the record. But if you're, an old timer and you follow Kareem and watch Kareem, you'd probably be like, no, fuck LeBron. He doesn't deserve it. He just basically did what he did, which we pay homage to. So I think it's a sign of the times more than anything else. Records are meant to be broken, and I'm happy at the end of the day that someone is pushing the standard a little bit higher, regardless of how he is attaining it. But do I think he's the GOAT? Unfortunately, not. Still Michael.
That's an interesting thing. I never got the opportunity, or I took the liberty, I should say, of watching Michael Jordan play live. I've seen clips. I played as him in 2K, and he is very dominant,
Oh,
very good.
it's just like in 2K. You're like, how the fuck is he running at like twice the speed as the next guy? That's the shit you would see on TV. Like you're like, wait, that's not fair. How is he not like? How is the ball moving the way it's moving? And you're like, yeah, that's Mike.
The thing that I think objectively separates Michael Jordan from everybody else, including a Kobe Bryant, including LeBron James, I would say it's the peaks that he achieved, right? Like in his first few years, he wasn't really making too many finals appearances, right? He was struggling a bit.
Sure.
But then as soon as he hit that first finals, he started winning and he didn't stop. He had the first
Instant
three-peat.
dynasty right there.
Instant dynasty. First three-peat, took some time off for baseball and to get his mind right and everything. And then he went back to the NBA and then another three-peat. That's unprecedented. You've never heard of another NBA player doing something like that before. And the fact that he's 6-0 in the finals, the fact that he's won 6 finals MVPs, it just shows that in the highest leverage moments, when the alien's pointing the death ray at you, he is doing everything possible to win the game, and he is a winner. Yeah.
He's the only one with a takeover. When he's on the court, he's the only one with unlimited takeover.
That's right. That's right.
It really is. He has unlimited boost. He basically has a Gatorade hack on, where he is, even when he has the flu, he somehow is still well hydrated, and is still again faster, stronger, and more skilled than every other player.
I mean, this guy is so prolific. He shrugged his shoulders to get COVID-19 off his shoulders. You know what I mean? Like he's just such a G. I agree with you. I mean, Jordan, just based on the heights that he achieved, based on everything that he was able to accomplish in his career, he should be viewed as the GOAT. But LeBron, from a longevity standpoint, though, and that's so difficult. I mean, you look at all these players.
No, that's just modern technology, modern medicine.
Dude,
again, if we want to shift players and put them on kind of like
kind of what's the right normalize their eras, MJ would have just as long of a career, both in baseball and basketball somehow, and he broken more records if we were to shift it forward. I mean, that fucker smokes too many cigars. If we took that away from him and gave him a solid diet that LeBron's on, spending however many hundreds of thousands of dollars to keep his body up. I mean, Jordan was lucky to bring that home with his goddamn gambling problem. But if we normalize it all, gambling problem. That's why you're the goat too. Hey.
I got that.
He's still there. He's still there.
Well, here's the thing though. I do want to harp on the longevity a little bit because do you realize how difficult it is to maintain your body to avoid any like severe injuries for like 20 years? That's so hard in the NBA.
Understood, and that's why I'm not to undermine LeBron's discipline, right? Because it takes a hell of a will to do that. I mean, I can't even do that. I think I'm still gaining weight. It's if everyone came to the modern era, and played quote unquote softer ball compared to the '90s bad boy ball. I mean, Michael would have had an even more fantastic longevity compared to LeBron.
But
I think.
I hate that era to era comparison because
but that's what you're saying. I mean, that's the longevity piece.
Yes, yes, but here's the thing though. It's not like if you drop LeBron in Michael Jordan's era, he wouldn't be great. He would still be like a top 3 talent, right?
Sure, top 3, but not top 1.
That's
why I think it comes down to the GOAT conversation, right? That I brought up. It's. I'm not trying to undermine LeBron's greatness. I'm not trying to undermine Kareem's greatness. I'm not trying to undermine, or I got to mention Kobe in there, even though he's not Michael. But he was basically the heir. Yes. He was the heir to Michael Jordan's legacy. It never got to the levels that we kind of all wanted to, but we are so proud and happy to have had him as a Laker.
100%.
Forever will be.
100%.
It's all about the shift. It's about the top one at the end of the day, and it's MJ. Longevity, sure, but not everyone had to take elbows daily to the ribs every 5 minutes. Has LeBron had to? I haven't seen him put on one of those, what is it, that Dwight's infamous for wearing, like those fucking tight Nike bullshit shirts that cover your ribs.
Look, man,
with like a little bit of padding.
LeBron, especially early in his career, before he developed the 3-point shot, he was driving in the paint like almost every single play, and he was hacked. He was getting hacked like left and right, but the refs didn't
not like it was before. Not like it was before. A flagrant back then was an ejection of today. A flagrant of today was a common foul of before. A common foul of before is a flagrant of today sometimes. Not all the time, but more often than not. And
right.
Again, not trying to take away from LeBron. I hope he does break the record, because it would be great to have that record kind of solidified as the Klitschko brothers did with the belt in purple and gold.
Mm-hmm.
But someone else could have done it in this. Some other great could have done the same thing given LeBron's era.
Well, okay, that's fair. I mean, I agree with you in general. Like, what Michael Jordan was able to accomplish in his era, and even if you dropped him into this softer era, as many people would like to say, he would still be great. With that being said, do you think LeBron has any possibility, any chance, even a remote chance, of finishing his career as the best player ever to play the game?
No.
Wow. Easy as that?
Yeah, easy. He can win 2 more championships. He's still not going to be MJ. He can win 2 more championships, and he still won't be the best Laker to ever grace the floor.
Huh.
I mean, what's... And it's not to say that he doesn't have a great career. He's going to have a stellar career.
Sure.
He's going to be a great
analyst if he could put sentences together as eloquently as he can without cards.
Wait. Hold on. Let's pause right there. What do you mean? Do you think he reads
Bro,
off a
he has
paper?
he has so many what is it? Typos whenever he posts Instagram bullshit. Sometimes I'm like, that high school degree is really showing loud right now
You know
when I
what's
read it.
funny? I'm glad you mentioned that because I've noticed that time and time again. Like, I'm not impressed by LeBron's tweets. Like,
It's
LeBron's tweets
not.
are very mediocre. Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, shit. That's whatever. I wish I had his lifestyle, to be honest. It's just
sure.
me hating from the sidelines.
Of course.
Um,
As am I.
but uh, no, he won't. He could break the record and still win more championships. Though we know he's not going to win championships with this team right now as it stands. But he will still be a great. He'll be a top 5 player in the NBA of all time so far. But
You know,
not the best.
I wanna, I know we're talking about the NBA for quite a long time, but where do you put Kobe in the top 5 or top 10? Where
You
is
know
where?
what? I fucking hate this thing. I always see it all the time on like Instagram,
Yeah.
where it's like, here's your 6 players. Who would you bench?
Mm.
And unfortunately, I always bench Kobe in my mind.
Oh, come on,
Um,
come on.
I do. All right, with the 6 players in front of you, let's say you have um, LeBron, MJ, Curry, Duncan, Shaq. Like even just among those 5,
Yes.
who's the worst player?
Well,
Or rather, who's the player that you don't want the ball? Or like, not even worst player. Like it just like there's so many attributes to these other players where you're like, oh fuck, dude. Like, unfortunately, Kobe, dude. All I see is Kobe going on, and
look.
I don't want that for that
It's
lineup.
simple. It's really simple. I'm gonna put it to you like this. I'm gonna put it to you like this. At the end of the game, last possession, Luke Walton passes the ball into Kobe. Wouldn't you expect him to make the shot? I mean, I'm hoping every time he makes the shot. I don't think Tim Duncan has that same confidence from the San Antonio Spurs. I don't think LeBron even has the same confidence from his teams, whether it's Miami, Cleveland, or LA. I think when you give the ball to Kobe, as a fan of Kobe and as a fan of the Lakers, you always think he has a chance to just win it for you. Doesn't matter if he's playing with Smush Parker, Kwame Brown, and Luke Walton. He always finds a way to get off his shot. And because of that, because of the work ethic, because of all the, hours he puts in the gym, when nobody else was shooting with him in the gym, it was just him, I would say I would put Kobe over Tim Duncan and over maybe some of the other guys you mentioned, to be honest with you, man.
Sorry, no.
Nah?
Uh,
Oh, man.
he's clutch. He's clutch. I'll give that.
He is,
But
for
I
sure.
want to build it. I want to build a team that you don't even have to worry about those clutch moments. I want a team that is going to blow by everyone, where you can just bench them in the 4th, hell, late 3rd, and just be like, we'll ride it out with the Smush Parker.
That's a logical fallacy. You know that's unrealistic. Good teams, if you're especially playing against a good opponent, they're going to come back. They're going to make the 3rd quarter run. They're going to make the 4th quarter run. They're going to even up the score, and then you need the Mamba. Then you need the Black Mamba to secure the game-winning shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Mamba did have the 4th quarter drive. I get it,
Yes.
but all these other guys did too. MJ had it even bigger. Shaq, aside from the last 2 minutes where they would hack a Shaq, fuck it, just feed it to them. I don't give a fuck if they have a great 3-point shooter. That's a guaranteed bucket every single time, and you're gonna foul out the other team. Like that's the person that I'd rather give it to for those situations. But for clutch moments, sure. I mean, MJ's still first. He has, I think, the same, if not better, killer mentality.
Sure.
The Mamba mentality that Kobe had.
So let me just say, I think objectively speaking, Kobe copied a lot of MJ's moves, from his celebrations to his pump fake to his, post fade. A lot of what MJ did on a regular basis, Kobe studied religiously and he tried to imitate. So obviously, when you compare Kobe to MJ, it's logical to think that MJ is the superior player. That's not my argument here. My argument here is that Kobe is still one of the top 5 players in the league all time, because if MJ's number 1 and Kobe's an imitation, wouldn't Kobe be in the top 5? Come on. Let the Laker fan in you shine. Let the Laker pride in you shine.
Of course, it hurts. It hurts. But then you got to put in Kareem in there. You got to put in now the late, great Bill Russell.
Yes.
You got to throw in Magic in there.
R.I.P.
There's a lot of Lakers out there that are great and still worthwhile to consider.
Wait, hold up, though. Bill Russell was a Celtic. You know that.
I don't care. You game, respect game.
Okay. Yes, in the 70s, I mean, there were only 2 teams that mattered. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yes, I get it. But it sucks that, at least for me, I got to put Kobe in MJ's shadow. And that, by default, will discount his greatness in my eyes, because he was never the best at that archetype.
You know, so I'm not loving all this anti-Kobe sentiment. I think you might as well be a Clipper fan.
It's still respect.
Okay.
No, but yeah. I mean, I would still pick Kobe just for the fact of being a Laker fan. It's like, sure, you put MJ and Kobe in 2K as a card that's fucking, what is it, Opal, and what do I pick? Well, I'll still pick the Kobe one. Like,
by the way,
MJ.
I just gotta say, I think before it's all said and done, I know 2K23 is coming out, but we should get one last matchup in. My team versus your best my team.
Bro.
Yeah. We'll put some Skrilla. We'll put some ducats. We'll put some galleys on the line.
That's a guaranteed win for you. You got to give me like a little over-under at least.
And by the way, we both bought fucking WWE 2K22 or 23, whatever it is.
I think I played it like once or twice.
Me too. To be honest, I loaded it up, and there was so much going on. I just shut it down. I don't think I played a match, to be honest. But let's you know what? Let's put some Skrilla on these matchups. I think that would be interesting.
Sure.
We'll hook it up for the future. But hey, I think, you know, this has been an exhilarating podcast, and we're on the verge of 2 hours, my friend. This is a record.
Wow.
Yeah. How about that? But I just gotta say, it was a pleasure reconnecting with you after all this time. I think it's been like 8 or 9 months, number one. You know, I think sipping on the, what is it that we had? The Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace has been exquisite. A solid 7 for the drink, a solid 8 for the label and the aesthetics and the bottle shape. I look forward to future bourbon whiskeys from Kentucky or any other state or country for that matter. Maybe even a Taiwanese Kentucky bourbon, whatever that means.
Avalon. Shout out to Cavalon.
There you go. Cavalon, shout out, 100%. You know, it was a whirlwind of topics that we covered, from the war in mainland Europe between Ukraine and Russia to, even before then, the war between, not really the war, but the conflict between Taiwan and China. And then finally, of course, we have the NBA topic of Westbrook, whether or not he's going to be dealt, and of course the GOAT status of LeBron James and Kobe Bryant in the annals of the NBA history. It has been an amazing episode. I'm so glad that we were able to do this again. And I hope, Don, this is a reoccurring podcast. I hope that we're able to get more episodes in, if not on a weekly basis, maybe every 2 weeks or every month. So we'll try to sort that out offline. We'll work on that for sure. But this has been extremely enjoyable for me. What are your final thoughts on this podcast?
I gotta give a shout out to Duke Cannon.
There you go.
I gotta keep my boy clean.
That's right. Hygienic is the way to go, and we will continue that trend for future episodes. Shout out to everybody that listened to this podcast. I know it's been a minute. We haven't been that great in uploading for this past year. I think Don still has an episode in the tuck for a SoCal DNA Decoded review episode of the Logic album. Remember that one? Yeah, that was on your that was in your bailiwick for sure. So maybe later on you can upload that, but, or not. I mean, that's up to you. But overall, this has been extremely enjoyable, and we will try to keep this up for our fans, for our new listeners, and this has been an interesting episode. The first time that two people on the podcast have been intoxicated, not just one. But I enjoyed Buffalo Trace. I think it certainly hit the spot. Flavors, still to be determined. I think, it tasted like liquor. It tasted like alcohol for me. But I think for the future, we will definitely try different liquors, different whiskeys, different bourbons. And feel free to chime in on whatever your preference is, whatever your favorite bourbon is, and we will definitely try it, or at least put it on the priority queue at the very minimum. With that being said, I want to say thank you to everybody that listened, and we will keep this up. Hopefully you'll get another episode. This was episode 54 of the SoCal DNA podcast. Can you believe that, Don? We've hit 54 episodes. That's quite a remarkable achievement.
I like it.
I like it too. In any case, this has been an extended episode. Usually we try to target an hour, but we're close to the 2-hour mark this time. Anyways, thank you for listening, and we will, see you on the up and up. I forget the exact lyric or exact comment.
Oh, you got to say, catch you on the flippity flip.
I will catch you all on the flippity flip. So thank you for listening, and until next time, my friends, take care.
Kobe!